There's a significant and a specific evolution that I am seeing in myself at this time. It's important for me to be so committed to serving this way, to the point that if Neyi, for argument's sake, were to decide he doesn't want to be in ministry anymore, I would be able to say I am continuing with this. It is an act of surrender where you allow God to shape you the way that He wants to shape you.
Hi everyone, my name is Omega Kuno. I'm excited. This is the day that the Lord has made and we're gonna rejoice and be glad in it. You know what? Today it's amazing. It's gonna be a very, very interesting, loving, I don't want to say emotional, but the Lord will lead us. Today I'm hosting Mokgotsi wa Bakgotsi.
Kuno.
Yeah, a very dynamic woman, a woman of valor. Woman of substance. Yeah, she understands herself very well, and she's got confidence that the Lord has really called her into everything that she's doing. And whatever she touches with her hands, she makes sure that it has to come to prosperity.
Mokgotsi.
Dr Neli Zimu. Mokgotsi.
Yeah,
welcome.
Mokgotsi. Thank you so much for the invitation. I'm excited to be here.
Yes.
Yeah, I'm excited, but I'm nervous at the same time. You know, the invitation to come here. Yeah. It reminded me of a daughter of mine. There's a lady, you know, who is under my care. You know, so every time I call her, she's like, "Why is Mam Zimu calling me?"
Sure.
You know, so it kind of like felt like that, you know. and you know, I would say, no, but I'm just touching base. I'm just sharing some love.
Yes.
He's like, yeah, you know, when you call me, I kind of like think, okay, is there a prophetic word? What have I done? And things like that. So it kind of like felt like that. But I'm excited to be here. Yes. And congratulations, Mokgotsi. This is brilliant.
Wow.
This is brilliant. Congratulations.
Thank you.
And really, you know, I've always been your fan.
Yes,
so
yes.
I do follow, you know, every time you release an episode, I am there. And I've just found, you know, people's life stories so amazing. So amazing. I didn't know much, for instance, about Brendan. You know, my goodness, you know, and his spiritual experience, his experience with God, it really has been amazing. I really, you know, have been enjoying this.
Thank you for accepting this invitation. We're going to have a great talk.
Oh,
yeah.
Wow.
And welcome officially to Omega Pod.
Thank you so much.
Yes.
Thank you so much. I'm honored to be here.
Yeah. And life, how have you been? Yeah. Like, how have you been? Yeah. You're busy. You're a busy woman. Doc. And we see you. We follow. And then, yeah.
I don't think I'm busier than you, though. you know, and sometimes it's a pity that, you know, I'm not as like in close a proximity as before, you know, where you'd be able to pass by my home and I'm like, Mokgotsi, you need to rest. You look tired.
Yes.
But, you know, I watch from a distance and I watch with the same kind of concern. But, you know, more than anything, it's just to speak a blessing over you and to pray for you. So, how have I been? I'm good.
Yeah.
I'm good. I am in an interesting season of becoming.
Hey, say that again. Oh, I love that.
Yeah.
Interesting season of becoming.
Yes. There's a significant and a specific evolution that I am seeing in myself at this time. You know, so I'm good. And I'm going through a whole lot of things, shaping myself. You know, it relates to a whole lot of things. It relates to time. It relates to my age. It relates to where I am career-wise. But it also relates to how I am raising my children. Right. Because they are also growing. You know, it relates to where I am at the church. It's been 5 years on my own as a pastor. You know.
5 years already.
It's been 5 years. This is our 5th year on my own. And you know, the one time I was like, Lord,
time flies. Eh?
Yeah, you know, and it's just been me against the world. And you know, even, you know, in a leadership setting like that, making decisions and saying, Lord, you know, this is not sentiments now.
That's right.
It's just me and you know, making these decisions and. So yeah, it's been. I'm good. I am good. I really see the goodness of the Lord in everything.
I want to hijack you.
Right?
I want to hijack you. Mm-hmm. You spoke, there's a line that you mentioned of becoming.
Yes.
You know, I'm glued into that. How does one come out of that to say, I just want to become, there are a lot of people going through some stuff,
Yeah,
doctor, and
yeah.
they just want to let go and just move into a season whereby they start to see things happening. How do you
Yes.
work yourself to become? How do you,
It's an act of surrender.
Act of surrender.
It is an act of surrender where you allow God to shape you the way that He wants to shape you. You are saying that we're going through a lot of things and we want to shift, but at the same time, we also find ourselves being dictated to by a lot of trends. The world will tell us, this is how you are supposed to come into shape. These are the steps that you take to become this and this. These are the steps you take to become this and that. So it's an act of surrender where you just allow God just to mold you and just to shape you and just to show you who exactly and what exactly He wants you to be. So it's an interesting time. It is an interesting time, specifically for me. Like I'm saying, raising young adults. I've never been in that space before. I think it was lovely when they were young and small and everything. But I've got 2 young adults in the house. They are trying to assert themselves, establish direction in terms of careers and to, actively lead them in that way. It's quite an interesting time, actively deciding around my various leadership roles and things like that. And also actively deciding who I am at this point in my life.
That's very interesting. Yeah, I know you're not running a session here, but yes, already there are bullets that are coming out, and I believe someone is getting help because we need to come out of our closet and just become, and just go out there, see the world differently. Encourage yourself. See things that you never saw before, and just push.
Precisely. And it's not always comfortable. It's not always a comfortable space because, like you're saying, for your perspective to differ, for your perspective to be different, it's not a comfortable thing. We tend to be so loyal to our reputation.
Right.
So when something new comes, it's like, no, but I'm shy. No, I can't be more physically fit because I'm lazy, because I'm not a morning person. And there are so many opportunities and so many things that God is putting before you.
Right.
But in as much as you are you are inspired to take those things on, but we tend to find ourselves being loyal to our reputation. But I've never been able to do this and as you are being shaped, it calls for you also to move to a space of being uncomfortable, and become somebody that you have never been. In my situation, for instance, becoming an individual without my husband is not an easy thing. Not that I'm stuck in the pain or whatever, but I was so used to being like an individual with him somewhere in the background, somewhere by my side. And now I am at a point where, in spite of the fact that I'm still standing on the shoulders of a giant, I am becoming my own self. And it calls for me to start seeing a whole lot of things differently.
Lord Jesus. Dr. Neli, you are amazing.
You're making me shy.
You are amazing.
You're making me shy.
Medical doctor in psychiatry.
Psychiatry. Yes, I'm a mind doctor. I am a mind doctor. I've been in this career for what now? I think about 24 years. Yes. And
24?
Yes. Yeah. I'm a big girl. So, so I studied at the University of Natal, UKZN.
Right.
Yes, it's UKZN now. It was University of Natal. That is where I met Mukhodzi.
Okay.
Many years ago. Yes. I was actually, maybe let me take you a couple of years back. I was born in Pietermaritzburg.
Right.
Raised in Maritzburg. I'm the baby of the family. Yeah. Yes. 4 siblings, 2 older brothers and an older sister.
And I know that.
And so I'm the baby of the family. I've always been the baby of the family. So that is where I was born and raised. Interesting kind of upbringing, Christian home.
Yeah.
I'm not a PK. But interesting interesting upbringing in a Christian family. And I must say that, when it comes to issues of ministry as well, of serving God,
Right.
there's a lot that was impacted, that was given to me into that time.
Sure.
Actually, my upbringing was very mixed.
Okay.
In an interesting kind of way. My parents were Presbyterian. And they were Presbyterian throughout, like mainline churches type of thing, So that was my background, But they allowed us. In fact, they were intentional about exposing us to other forms of ministry and things like that.
Right.
So we had friends that used to go to international assemblies of God, and we would visit them. We're not like church members as such, but we used to visit them, and they impacted us a lot in terms of the music that we sang and things like that, I don't know if you were born yet when we were singing kind of New Jersey Mass Choir. Did you know New Jersey Mass Choir?
Yeah. From abroad, isn't it?
Yeah. Jesus, blessed Savior. Those big choirs and stuff like that.
Big boy.
So those people were very impactful, to how I saw myself in God over and above the teachings that were at home. We had that, young people from there. And quite interestingly, I was also very closely associated with the Seventh-day Adventist people, especially musically.
Right.
We had neighbors who were Seventh-day Adventists, and in terms of the choice of music, in terms of the harmonies, I think that is where I got the issue. Like the influence around the harmonies and stuff like that.
Sure.
So I still gravitate towards the Seventh Day, harmonic type of thing. It was a really, really lovely upbringing. And my father, at some point, he was an educator by profession, but at some point he left teaching to go into missions. So he was part of the Africa Enterprise under the leadership of Michael Cassidy, and they traveled the world evangelizing. So, for me, evangelizing kind of like, the bug kind of like took on, at that time, So, and then I went to boarding school at some point in under seminary, very popular at KZN, and then I went to UKZN to study medicine. And and quite interestingly, when I was in UKZN, I was a medical student, but I was part of a jazz group.
Hey. That's what it down.
Yes.
So you did jazz?
Yes, I did. The University of Natal has a Center for Jazz and Popular Music.
Okay.
It was started by Darius Brubeck, son of the legendary Dave Brubeck. So when Darius came, I'll teach you a couple of things. So when Darius Brubeck came to South Africa, he was employed by the University of Natal, and he started the Center for Jazz and Popular Music.
All right.
It was an amazing source of heritage musically. So they used to have performances every Wednesday there.
All right.
It was $5, Omega, 5 rand to see international artists. Can you imagine? Like 5 rand. But it was really, really amazing. So that is where, I met people like the late Oli, what was his name? Olinkosi.
Okay,
do you remember him?
Yes, I remember.
Yes.
Wow.
They were studying at that time. Concord Gabinde, the bassist. That is where we used to hang out with Sidney Mavundla, the trumpeter, Andile Yenana, the pianist,
This is amazing.
There's a lady that you must just Google, Natalie Randall from Durban.
All right.
She is in the academic space. She sings Christian jazz. Something you will never believe. Those are the people who were there. There's a gentleman from Durban as well, Neil Gonzalez, the late Prince Scoop. He used to play the lead guitar, Sidney Mavundla. So it was a lovely, lovely time. And I was part of a group called Ba'achisani, I was doing vocals there. And, it was an interesting time, So
music is your thing. You've got a serious background.
I have a very complicated relationship with music. So yeah, that's where I come from. And of course, influence from my brother as well. Untutuko, he's an organist.
Yes.
He's doing a lot of work in the classical music space at this point, But, we had a good relationship, I think, because because of our interest in music, so we really had a good relationship. And yeah, man, a lot happened in Durban when Umtunzi Namba did his first project. Was it first? I'm not sure. Umtunzi Namba and Friends.
Sure.
There is an album called Mtunzi Namba and Friends that we did with Neyi, Margaret Mutsache, Vicky, and stuff like that.
Yeah. That was before Joyous One.
That was before Joyous One.
Okay.
That was before Joyous One, and I think, but it was after the first album, Yaga Mtunzi, Sweetwater Amazimtoti, that he did with Felicia Marion.
Yes.
Yeah. In fact, quite interestingly, when we met with Uneyi, he was studying sound, technical Natal. I don't know what it's called now.
Right.
Yeah, I don't know what it's called now. So he was studying, and first time I heard him sing, it was like in a Christian fellowship, and they were introducing him, and he sang this chorus, and I was like, what a voice.
Hey.
I picked up the distinctness of his voice, right? Whatever. Anyway, and then he came to help our choir because our SF choir was terrible. At that time there would be UKZN, Westview, Unizul, and concerts and stuff like that.
Yes.
We were terrible. So he was asked to come and help. But I think because of his experience musically, he had told himself he came to Durban just to do whatever he did. He did not want to be involved musically.
Okay.
And he was playing drums. Among other things. So he used to play drums and at that time, Oasis Family Church,
right.
Very popular at that time. So a whole lot of us would visit there, and at some point we sang and we were part of the choir, and he used to play drums, And one time, at that time when Mtunzi was doing Mtunzi Namba and Friends, blah, blah. Just before that, I tell Mtunzi, because Mtunzi is my brother's friend.
Yes,
what, that guy can sing. And he was like, what? I'm like, yeah. And he's like, no, but he plays drums. I'm like, I am telling you, he can sing, but he is not going to agree. So just get there and just, wear a serious face. Just give him a song.
Yes.
And the rest is history. And then they did, that was a couple of years before Family Factory and Joyous One and stuff like that. So
Because
I could have been a musician, I guess.
I'm telling you, because
I could have been, but that is where I that is where I come from in terms of music. But I finished my medicine there. And we got married when I was in final year. So that's how I came to Gauteng. Yes. Yeah, but otherwise I probably would have stayed in Durban because I love Durban, So I think when it comes to psychiatry, working with the mind, it's not something that I actively pursued. When I finished medicine, I wanted to be a surgeon.
Okay.
But, and then I started a family, and then I needed to be flexible, and I got a job in psychiatry and I got stuck. And I think psychiatry really found me more than me finding psychiatry. And what I did is that I did a postgraduate diploma in psychiatry. But after that, I was a bit, worried about the fact that, man, I don't want to find myself at 60 still dealing with schizophrenia. And I kind of felt, in the health setting, psychiatry, working with the mind comes when it's too late. By the time you come to me, you've already been living with the symptoms. I have to make a diagnosis and that's when I shifted then to do life coaching. Because life coaching enables me to work with the mind, but to somebody who is driven, to somebody who does not have an illness. And also I felt it enabled me to apply psychiatry in a society that does not necessarily have a negative attitude, against psychiatric issues. Because really now we are finding ourselves in a situation where we struggle to help people because the shame of the depression, the shame of the anxiety, so
Eish.
I allowed myself to kind of like go outside of the typical health space to speak mind issues, through life coaching. And I think, it really has been, an interesting journey,
Yeah.
at home. I applied that as well, and I remember, at least now with the kids, they kind of like take it on.
Sure.
But, with Mkhotz, I would ask him, what would you do in such and such? And he'd like, don't be psychological with me now. Don't be psychological with me, So that type of thing.
Sure.
But I apply that at home. I apply that in my local church, wherever I am. I mentor a lot of young doctors as well, and I apply those skills as well. So, So that is what I do.
Yes. And I've been in a public hospital as well for pushing this as well.
Yes. I am very intentional about being in a public health space.
Okay.
Because I believe that it allows me to serve as many people as I can. I've been very intentional about that because I think I just love the bigger picture of everything.
Sure.
I'm really not a person who is about me and, I really love the idea of just, going all out and serving as widely as I can. So, and being in the public health sector, it enables me, to do that. In fact, on a day-to-day basis, whenever I go to work, one of the things that I'm actively intentional about is that even if I can meet just one person who through their interaction with me will have a different picture of the public health sector. Because the reputation generally is not that great. And I believe that we have so much capacity in that space. So that is what we do.
And dealing with different energies, characters.
Yes.
That is it takes courage. It takes a calling.
It does.
Dealing with the mind of a person.
Yes.
It's something.
It does.
This is where they like.
It does. And it's quite interesting. Last year I had a privilege of speaking at the, what is that conference? The musicians conference before the crowns? Iziko. Yes. And I think for the first time we were able to sit and talk about mental health issues among artists, which is a critical one, which is an important one, But as we were talking about that, we also spoke about the mind of an artist. Because the mind of an artist is different, for instance, from the mind of the founder of the artist.
Okay.
Okay. When I come to you as a business strategist,
right,
I may come being willing to fund your artistry.
Right.
But my mind works totally differently from your mind as an artist. The hyperactivity, the creative aspect. And I often, tell this story about Neyi waking you up in the middle of the night. It's like, love, wazofaki soprano. I've got a song.
Yeah.
And I'm like thinking, it's 2 a.m. Why should we be going to the keyboard? And, but then I got to understand as we went along that, the mind of an artist is a totally different space. And I really am liking, speaking to people in the creative space so that they understand, how their mind works.
Yes,
and how differently it will work, for instance, from, how differently your mind will work from the mind of your manager, for instance. Your manager is thinking along a totally different line as compared to you as a creative person. And how differently your mind will work, for instance, as compared to your audience. Because your audience is at a receiving end, and what they think and what drives them is totally different from what is driving you. So it is quite a different space. It's quite an interesting space to work at.
Oh, Lord Jesus, this is amazing.
So and then we find those, back and forth relationships where the audience expects this, the manager expects this, the media expects this, the business world expects this. And here you are just a vessel that is meant to be brewing this music. And you're also coming from a different world,
Sure. So we need to be actually attending such sessions most of our time as
Yes, it helps.
artists.
It really helps. It
Because
really helps.
like you're saying, we
yes.
do, like you get into a concert with 5,000 people. That means they have 5,000 minds. And you are there, you want to direct them all to what you're doing. So you have to drive that whole thing.
Yes. Yes.
So we need to be attending more so that we can learn.
Yes.
And we be checked. And we be diagnosed as well. Yeah.
Of course, because what you eventually offer depends on what is happening on the inside of you.
Hey.
Because sometimes, mind work is very important for artists because you need to know when you are able and you need to know when you cannot. And sometimes it doesn't say cancel the gig, but it just says take 5 minutes with yourself before you go to the stage.
Come
you
on,
know what
Doc.
I mean?
Yo.
And then here are people coming, expecting this, expecting that, and. When do you get to the stage and say, you know what, I'm not here to make you dance today, but I'm here to make you sing from the heart based on where you are. You're finding yourself, pushing yourself, wanting the audience to dance, and you are not in that space. How do you handle such things? All those interesting things. Because at the end of the day, all of us give based on what is happening in our minds. So everything is a mind work. Everything is just a mind work.
Pastor of all nations.
Yes.
Hey, you just spoke. You say it's been now 5.
Yeah, this is our 5th year.
5th year.
Yeah.
And you're still standing.
We are still standing. We are still standing. We are really seeing the goodness of the Lord. And, God was so good to us because we never stopped. Not once.
Yes.
We never stopped.
I can attest to that. I've been following.
We buried Neyi on a Wednesday.
Right.
On Sunday, the following Sunday, you were there.
I was there.
Was our Thanksgiving service.
I was there.
And we never stopped ever since. And I am very much aware of the disturbances in between. Because it called a lot for me to be able to carry that forward. In fact, quite interestingly, when I served under the leadership of Neyi at a ministry level, for me to serve wholeheartedly, the Lord had to take me to a space where He revealed to me that it's important for me to be so committed to serving this way, to the point that if Neyi, for argument's sake, were to decide he doesn't want to be in ministry anymore, I would be able to say I am continuing with this.
Wow.
Because people do change their minds.
Sure.
So I was serving from that premise.
Yeah.
He gets sick, I am serving from that premise.
Yeah.
You are busy with your tours and everything.
Yes.
I'm serving from that premise.
Which happened a lot because we are away.
Yes.
Yeah.
I remember one day you guys, you played around with my youth. Yes, you guys. And you used to, I don't know where you guys were going. And you created this hype on stage and then you ran out.
And we left it with you.
By the time the audience settled, the celebrity
was the one that
But anyway, so by the time he passes away, I am serving from that premise, and I think more than anything, for me, it was an encounter with God.
Sure.
That makes everything else that is not God not necessary. That carried me through that time. Because, there was a lot of attention and stuff like that. And people were wondering, how is she doing this? For me, it was just an encounter with God that just makes everything else not necessary. I don't know if you remember when I was presented with a crown award at the carnival.
At carnival, right?
Yes. When I went to receive that crown, I said, there is no way that all this can be about one man.
I remember.
There's no way that God can fail to heal him.
And you said God is calling.
And if He is
South
calling
Africa
us
to pray. I remember.
like this. He is up to something else.
I remember.
So we're still going on by God's grace. But like I'm saying, I am very much aware of the the issues, shame, and Nakona, I don't blame anyone. I really do understand.
Yeah.
Some people came to church for Neyi.
Yes.
So if they were discouraged about the fact that he's not there anymore, if they decide to leave, it is okay.
Yeah.
And you'd find that also we are continuing to serve God, but we remain a pedestal of questioning God.
Yeah.
We continue to say we trust him.
Yeah.
We continue to speak the word. But at the back of people's minds, there's still that thing but we prayed. Did they do it right? Were they faithful enough?
Yeah.
Was God punishing them?
Yeah.
People can't help but think of such things, no matter how much you go ahead and continue to minister. So we do understand that. And it is not easy. I'm a woman, Not only am I a woman, I'm a widow, So you'll find that no matter how much God has capacitated me to lead, some people will receive it from what should I say? From a sympathy perspective. We hear you, but shame, that type of thing. But the Lord has taught me a whole lot of things. So All Nations Revival Ministries is still standing. 5 years after Neyi passed away, I remain. Some people still call me Mamfundis. I'm like, Pumfundis, if you call me Mamfundis, mo Mamfundis gamani. But anyway, it's part of the package. So there's a lot that we learn as we go along. There's a lot that we learn as we go along, and God has really been faithful to us. We are growing. I'm very focused on leadership. Very much focused on leadership and very much focused on the capacity of young people.
Sure.
The capacity of young people. Sometimes we tend to take young people for granted, Omega. And the thing is, if you cannot value young people, if you cannot ensure that you raise young people, it means you are not honoring everything that you are working for now.
Right, yes.
Because you're working hard for now. You're creating wealth. You're doing this and that. And if you are not going to groom young people, who do you think is going to take care of your retirement when you are done? Who do you think is going to take it? You may be, like building houses and doing all sorts of things. If we are not going to take care of young people, who are we saying is going to honor the hard work that we are doing right now? So that is where we are at, and we are continuing the work of the Lord as He is giving us grace. It is not easy, but it's interesting.
Yeah.
It really is interesting, and it is a privilege. At the end of the day, it really is a privilege. So that is one of the things that I am doing. We do a lot of ministry online as well.
Yes.
And the Lord has really helped us because we've connected with a lot of people literally all over the world.
Yeah.
Practically all over the world. It really has been amazing, and the Lord has really opened doors for me to preach all over Kenya and everything. So it's really busy. But God, I've just seen God.
Yeah,
I've just seen God.
Dr. Neli Zimu's family. She's also a life coach. She speaks. Yeah, she speaks to events. You can have her talk to ladies. To everyone. She can relate to everyone. And one interesting thing about you're able to go to any people's level. You don't choose. You can be with Sunday school.
Yes.
And you can be with teenagers and young people and elders. At the same time, you are able to switch. And I think it's because probably you are dealing with minds, so you understand the level of people and so on. So you're a life coach as well.
Yes. Like I said earlier on, I took to life coaching after I took a couple of steps in my psychiatry work. Then I took to life coaching, and and I think you are right in observing that.
Sure.
One of the things that life coaching has capacitated me with is flexibility. Yeah, it's about being adaptable.
Yeah.
So, I adapt myself, whether it's young people, whether it's older people, whether it's affluent people, whether it's ordinary people, I'm able to just to adapt, so it's a matter of adaptability. So, when it comes to life coaching, I apply it in all areas of my life. But right now I am, pushing it and streamlining it to to where people are able to realize the importance of life coaching for themselves.
Sure.
Life coaching has been made very popular by the sales industry, by the corporate industry. So you find that a whole lot of people benefit from life coaching because their employers are providing these things in the workplace. But I am taking it to a place where I am saying, on a one-on-one level, on a family-to-family level, what is it that we can do to ensure that you live your best life, to ensure that you are adaptable, to make sure that you are able to accept things for what they are, to make sure that you become the best person that you are meant to be through the skills of life coaching. So that is where I am at. And I think this is also where I find myself doing a lot of media work. Radio. Right now, I do a motivational slot with Ukozi FM, for instance. Every Tuesday. That is like really lovely. It's all about the life coaching skills, taking the life coaching skills to the ordinary people. I also do a series called Sound Mind. That's what I called it. Okay. Sound Mind with Dr. Neli Zimu of Hope Alive. We're also working on life coaching. So you find that life coaching has been made popular, like I said, by the people who are making money, the people who are selling and whatever. When you listen to the American culture, people tend to take life coaching from that. But it really is not about that. It is about you living your best life. You being able to transcend when things are not going your way. You being able to slow down when you need to. You being able to regulate yourself in everything that you do. Because we find that we tend to find ourselves being regulated by a whole lot of external factors. And therefore we don't have time, we don't have power on our own in terms of what is it that I want me to be, who am I in this space and things like that. That is who I am, and I'm just really trusting God that He is going to help me to take it to higher levels. And like you're saying, speaking in different audiences as well, I always make sure that whether it is a conference, whether it is a prayer meeting or whatever, I always push issues of the mind, push issues of life coaching, because in the long run, I often make an example that in the Bible, there's nowhere where God uses someone who is unconscious.
Right.
He always counts on the fact that your mind is functional. God may have a plan, but if you do not have the capacity to understand that plan, and that is why wherever He sends wherever He talks to someone, He will ensure that one of the things that He deals with is your mind. He could have sent Jesus Christ if Jesus Christ did not have the mental capacity to comprehend who He is and where He is, what He is about. Every time God interacts with whoever, whether it is Moses, whether it is Gideon, whether it is David, He will always make sure that at some point He comes to the level where you are able to comprehend. And that is mind issues. And that is what He is counting on, really. So I find myself just, doing that all over.
Amen. Can the church say amen?
Amen. I'm not saying you guys are crazy.
I hear you well.
I can't remember what I Yes, amen. Glory to Jesus.
One thing you should know, people, is that she is the first soprano on the Jehovah Retepilo, and the first clip I've listened to when they came to me. Following, actually he sent the song to me. A day after he wrote it. He said, I've got a song. I said, okay. Then he said, he forwarded me. I could hear your soprano. So you are the first soprano on the hit song, Jehovah Retepilo.
Oh yes. In fact, even before we get to Jehovah Retepilo, I think the one song that made me nervous was Lamb of God.
Lamb of God, okay. Yeah.
Because Lamb of God came up when we were at church, right? We're still in a classroom.
I remember you once related that story to me.
We're in a classroom, right? And the Lamb of God said, our phones did not record at the time. We were still all carrying Skedlem, but there was no smart what. Ne? But because I knew and we had such a relationship.
Yeah.
So as he is, singing,
Yeah.
I started writing the lyrics down. I'm like, Lord, please just help me remember this. Because I know when we get home, he's going to say, love. Konje, what did I sing? And so far, when we get home, he's like, love. What was the song? Like, at that time, Pelenami, I'm functioning at a higher level.
Yeah.
Hey, so I was like, what? There's the page. And we sat on the keyboard and we started singing that. So by the time Jehovah Retepila when it comes, we were kind of like, familiar with that,
Yeah, to say, hey.
And we had learned to take him at his word. When he says, I've got a song.
Yeah.
Yeah, we had learned to take him. But I think even as a family and even as a couple, we didn't know it was going to be that big. We didn't know it was going to be that big. And we didn't know it was going to be that impactful. To hear people from Ghana saying, I prayed over this song and God gave me a child and God restored my business. It's just crazy. It's just crazy.
Testimonies from that song.
Yes.
But we knew, you remember, after it was recorded at Carnival.
Yes.
Backstage. You came to me and said,
yes. Oh, yes. Oh,
because
yes.
he couldn't finish.
Yes.
Because we were going to the break.
Yes.
And he was left alone.
Yes.
On stage.
That moment.
That moment.
When the whole team left and he was left alone on the stage and the audience begged him, I knew. And because we went to the interval at that time, and I was like, no, we can go home. What we came here for is done.
It's done.
We can go home. So yeah, you are right. That God kind of like, gave us that. And look, we thank God that he was receptive to the call of God, and he was, receptive to what God did to him at that time.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
I want to say this without emotions, but I miss him,
I can imagine. I
miss Mokgotsi a lot.
I can imagine Mokgotsi.
We are now in preparations of Spirit of Praise Volume 10.
Yes.
He would have been here and things would have been different.
Yes.
Not to say things are bad or things are not going well.
Things are what they are.
Things would be.
Yes. Things are what they are. Things are what they are.
And you will always have someone to add on things, to make them even look,
Yeah. No, I can imagine. In fact, one of the things that I have added to my life coaching journey is grief therapy.
Sure.
And the one thing that I am realizing is issues of grief around our careers. It's easy for people to look at you and think, it's easy for people to say, but it's Spirit of Praise 10 now. But for people who worked closely with him, it's a different journey and it's a different story.
Right.
The grief that you went through and the grief that I went through are two totally different journeys. And it becomes very important that we become mindful and sensitive of such things. Yeah.
Sure.
But it's really been an interesting journey. Like I'm saying, I remain a big fan of Spirit of Praise.
Yes, yes.
And Spirit of Praise 8 was emotional.
Yeah, very.
That was emotional.
Very emotional.
Yeah, that was very emotional.
Yeah,
beautiful and emotional. At different levels, at various levels. Because remember, there had been COVID as well, and there was like a whole lot of things. But it was amazing.
Yep.
And nine, I decided to come on my own.
Okay.
Didn't want company, and I just came on my own. Left the kids and stuff like that. I just came on my own. And I think
imagine.
I was it was lovely because I had actually booked. I wasn't even aware of the spaces. But I had actually, I had a ticket right behind the sound desk.
Yeah.
So, the whole view of the whole thing. And I didn't dance much. I just sat there. And I absorbed everything. And it was really a life-changing moment.
Yes.
And I think at this time, Omza, For me, I'm very intentional about the fact that I am going to ensure that Neyi is not forgotten.
No.
In one way or the other, I am
Yes.
going to make sure.
Yes.
You know,
I still meet people today and that will hug me and say, how am I feeling?
Of course.
Yeah. And then I said to Kia the other time, I said, we have to make it our life.
Yeah.
It has to be part of our life.
Yes.
That it will never end.
Of course.
Yes.
Yes.
At times I'll be asking myself that if I'm going through this, how is you?
Yes.
How is Muzi? And even talking about Muzi now, thank you for allowing him to come and stand on that big stage on 8 to stand
that
for
was
my brother.
that was miraculous. That was just miraculous. That was just God. That was just miraculous.
That boy got us into
that was just
up.
and thank you for allowing him as well.
The boldness and the courage. I mean, he became his father.
Yes.
I mean, even the movements, I was like, hey, Muzi, don't do this to me, bruh. There were things he was pulling there. I was like, this is Neyi. My God.
Exactly. And I see that at home, because you see, after Neyi passed away, I had 3 things that I was very intentional about doing. 1 was church, 2 was the children, and 3 was myself.
Yeah.
So I was very intentional about the fact that when it comes to these 3 things, I am just going to make sure that I safeguard them and that I raise them, I help them, deal with grief. How do you deal with the disappointments of life and it is crazy, Omza, because sometimes, for instance, you have to tell the children that, what, in as much as people care about you, in as much as people can sympathize with you, they will not always be there for you. And the fact that they are not as close does not mean they don't care, but it means that life has to move on. So then how do you navigate all that? And also for me, it was like, okay, this boy, like, genetics is really crazy because there are things that he literally did not actively learn from his father, but that he just does because of the inheritance. So it was really, really interesting. As I was raising him as well, I found it hard, to help him into the tertiary, schooling space. I was like, okay, how am I going to do this? But how am I going to do this? But, the Lord helped me. And, I remember when he did his first year, he had to do a music module, right? So, and as he was doing a music module, then I introduced him to Miles David.
Okay.
The trumpeter.
Right.
And I'm crossing my fingers. I'm thinking, okay, he might not like this,
Yeah.
And we started watching, I think at that time, the movie about the Clark sisters came out.
Okay.
And then after like a couple of months, I'm hearing Muzi is playing, what's this guy? Muzi is playing Billie Holiday or something. I was like, what is happening? So we move with these things. Parenting is an interesting journey with that. But he's and I also like the idea that we're not pressuring him to be his father.
Yeah.
We do have these conversations. I told him that, look, listen, you have a big privilege in being Neyi's son.
Mm-hmm.
But you are not forced to be him.
Right.
But you also need to understand that when it comes to me and how I served him, I will still continue to honor his legacy with or without you. And I'm not saying this in a negative way where I'm saying I'm playing you or something. But I am saying I am allowing you to be yourself. But you also need to understand that based on such a big legacy, that one is going to continue. If you are there, you are there. If you are not, you are not. And quite interestingly as well, he's very similar to his father because he is he's in the movie industry right now, making thingy, and then there's music this side, and then you have to come and kind of help balance things out, because he actually feels like a second dose. When I saw him becoming so much like his father, I was like, Lord, no, I'm done. Second dose. Yeah? Keep it and 2.5. I was like, no, I can't do this, but
Sure.
that is where we're at. So I'm learning as well as far as the music industry is concerned, and as far as like just the artistic space is concerned. But I've made very, very good relationships. The support has been amazing. The support from Aubrey has been amazing.
Yeah, man.
Because you guys used to fear Aubrey.
Hey.
So now, I also kind of like inherited that. And when I stood before, I was like, Aubrey Pico, I was like, oh my God, what am I? But he's been very supportive.
Oh man.
Very, very supportive.
I know.
Goodness, man, I don't know. It's really been,
Dr. Neli.
So,
thank you.
Oh man.
We can speak for the whole day.
We can speak forever.
I tell you.
We can speak forever, but I'm super proud of you.
Thank you.
I'm super proud of the work that you are doing.
Sure.
I remember I met you at the Val.
Yeah.
And I asked you about the pastoring stories.
Hey.
We're still gonna get there, but it's fine.
Okay.
No pressure.
Right.
But I'm super proud of you.
Thank you.
We continue to pray for you. We continue to love you and to appreciate you.
Thank you.
And quite interestingly, KwaZimu in my home, Uzoe is still stuck on the Khosi, Khosi.
Oh my word!
I kept telling you, hey,
we have moved on.
No.
Hey.
She's still there.
And because we'll call me every morning, I'm tired. I can't. No. I'm an artist as well. This is my daughter.
Oh yes. No.
Man.
From the day that it was released, from the day we received that CD, it was like that and like back and forth. So we really appreciate, the fact that you are a reference that we keep looking back at, that keeps enabling us to be sentimental, to think about the beautiful memories. We've been through a lot.
There's been a long journey and
travels and
traveling.
Things like that.
Sometimes we'll perform and then it's only few people, then you'll still come to us.
Yeah.
Thank God that He gave you this thing of dealing with minds. Yeah, because you will see that the turnout.
And the tents that were.
And you'll come and say, guys, we are still in the wedding side.
Oh no, but I believed in that. I believed in that. No, I believed in that. I really believed in that. To this day, I still believe that. I still believe that. For instance, Friends in Praise.
Sure.
Oh gosh, I still feel Friends in Praise Volume 2.
Yeah.
Has not reached the people that it should have.
Sure.
I think people are just not aware of how big that was, and stuff like that. I remember I was so. Because when you guys did Friends in Praise, it was a couple of weeks before Beyonce came.
Yes.
And you guys had a scaffold thing.
Yeah.
And she also had a scaffold thing. But it was a million times bigger. And I went to Facebook. I was like, guys, for the record, the scaffold started at Friends in Praise.
Oh man.
Yes.
Dr. Neli, I have to release you. You're a busy
so
woman, and thank you so much for coming. And you are carrying a big legacy.
Yep.
And just for a minute before I let you go, I want you to speak to the family of Neyi abroad. He's got a big family.
Yes.
And then I think for the first time they see us together, especially me on this platform after Neyi's passing.
Yes.
I think they will want to hear.
And we're not crying. I think we've done well. We deserve
I'm trying to hold it. I'm trying to hold it together. I say, no. But I think that for a minute, just to give them your love and to say, guys, thank you.
Yeah. Oh my goodness.
I want to be strong.
To the people who connected with Neyi. Sometimes, I just trust God that you can receive it from my heart. I know I don't fit into His shoes. There is no way that I could ever be Him.
Sure.
But I am just presenting myself to you to say, you know what?
Sure.
From the bottom of my heart, I am willing to carry his legacy
Sure.
forward in one way
Wow.
or the other.
Wow.
Oh my goodness, there are people who are in the United Kingdom.
Sure.
Prof Bishop Lupia.
Lupia, you're right.
Oh my goodness, how you loved us when we,
Yeah.
we didn't even know where we were going, but you've loved us like that.
Sure.
Sister Augusta Carter in Philadelphia, United States, and your
yeah.
family, how you embraced us. You
Sure.
knew the journey that we were taking, and you have embraced us ever since.
Sure.
Oh my goodness, Usis Nobesutu in Canada.
Hey.
Oh my Lord. Usis Nobesutu Omega, when she went to visit home in Zim.
Yeah.
The last time she went home, she ensured that she passes by South Africa.
Oh man.
Just to ensure that she visits us. That kind of love. I've subsequently connected with women of wisdom in Kenya,
Sure.
Nairobi, Pastor Laura. Oh my goodness, Sis Meekness in
Sure.
Uganda. Our friends from Kingdom Worship Center in Nigeria, Abuja.
Hey.
I am just, okay, maybe I don't know what to say. I don't know what I'm saying.
Yeah.
But I'm essentially, saying to everyone, to you, Mkhotsi, to everyone who is out there,
Sure.
Neyi once said, it is very important that you live so passionately, so committedly, so powerfully for something that you ensure that it outlives you.
Wow.
And we are witnesses to this. And may we be encouraged that we become the same.
Sure.
That we, out of all this, we find something that we will live for so that it outlives us.
Thank you.
And we continue. This is how the idea and the concept of moving from glory to glory to glory happens. So thank you. Thank you so much.
We love you. We keep praying for your family.
I love you more. Thank you.
Thank you for coming.
Thank you.
Ladies and gentlemen, Mkhotsi wa Bakgotsi. Yeah, love you guys. Thank you.
Thank you.